Hi, welcome to Go channel. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and also please remember to click on the notification button. Thank you. Welcome to Go channel. Please like and subscribe.
Sitting on this wide expanse of land, Africa's largest rice mill is unfolding here in Imota, a community near Ikorodu of Lagos.
President Muhammadu Buhari also inaugurated the Lagos Rice Mill at Imota, executed by the Lagos State Government in support of the Rice Revolution program of the Buhari presidency. The mill has a capacity to produce 2.5 million metric tons of rice per annum. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who guided the president on tour of the plant, said about 250,000 direct and indirect jobs will be created for Lagosians through its operations.
We go to be here to commission the largest rice mill in the entire sub-Saharan Africa and one of the largest in the world, the Lagos rice mill here in Imota. And this was because of the agricultural revolution of Mr. President, who when he started his government, he said Nigeria should grow what they eat and they should eat what they grow. We are happy that Lagos is the testament for that. With 2.8 million bags of 50 kg rice per annum, Lagos is ready to support the rice revolution and the food revolution in Nigeria.
President Buhari described the two projects as very much in line with his administration's vision of economic diversification and food security. And before retiring for the day, the Nigerian leader declared open the MRS Best-of Lubricant plant, the 200 million litre plant, first of its kind in West Africa, covering the whole value chain of lubricants, will put a stop to the importation of substandard products, capital flight, and contribute to the generation of foreign exchange for the country through exports. From Lagos, Adamu Sambo.
On this wide expanse of land, Africa's largest rice mill is unfolding here in Imota, a community near Ikorodu, north of Lagos. Imota was an idea that started some years back as a modest 2.5 metric tons per hour production mill by the Babatunde Fashola government to contribute to the huge rice consumption market in Lagos, Nigeria's biggest market. But a more ambitious succeeding regime of Akinwumi Ambode expanded the capacity of the facility to what is being put up here today, a 32 metric tons per hour mill. By the time Ambode was leaving office in 2019, only about 10% completion level had been achieved.
I, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, do solemnly swear that as the Governor of Lagos State, I will discharge my duties faithfully and in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the law.
When the current man in charge of governance in Nigeria's commercial capital came in May of that year, the rice mill project became one of his major points of focus.
The history of this project, I will start off with, let's say, the Babatunde Raji Fashola administration, where under the Ministry of Agriculture, a 2.5 metric ton per hour rice mill had been set up in this place. Then, under the last administration of Mr. Ambode, this 2.5 metric ton mill was dismantled, and then this 32 metric ton per hour rice mill was conceived. As at the entrance of Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu's administration, at that time, the Imota rice mill was roughly at about an overall completion level of 10%. But this administration of Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu did not abandon this project. For him, under the themes agenda and as a rule of thumb, it is to complete every project that past administrations have started. We cannot invest taxpayers' monies into projects and then, because of a change of administration, you abandon such projects for other projects to be started, and I mean the likelihood of us seeing projects to completion and utilization is zero. He took it upon himself to say, this mill, even if it's at 10% completion levels, I'll see to it that the agenda around this mill is brought to the fore and Lagosians can begin to see the effect of what this mill can do towards food security, towards job creation, wealth creation, and what have you.
Mill is now about 80% completion with a plan to deliver before or by the end of the first quarter of 2021. And when it fully comes on stream, it will produce not less than 2.5 million bags of 50 kg rice on an annual basis.
250,000 jobs is what we see that should be created across Nigeria, across the value chain. What this means is if you have 250,000 jobs being created, imagine the ripple effect. If one person in this chain has a family of 4 or 5, you can imagine the impact that is going to create. So let's even estimate a family of 4. 250 times 4, that is already 1 million people. But we know that Nigerians have definitely more than 3 family members to make, including that person 4.
Rice is the third most consumed staple food in Nigeria and has become a food security crop due to its increased significance in the country, according to a report by KPMG in 2019. The report also put Nigeria as the 11th largest consumer of rice globally, spending an average of $5 million daily on importation. Since 2015, under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, the country has taken significant steps to reduce its reliance on food imports with a focus on rice. The government's steep tax policy on imported grains, including rice, was followed by a stoppage of food importers' requests for foreign currency to prevent them from being able to pay for imports. Then, a ban on rice importation, which was part of the reasons for the closure of the country's borders on August 2019 to prevent rice from being smuggled into the country, mostly from Benin Republic. The policies have succeeded in boosting production, making Nigeria the largest producer in West Africa and second in the entire continent. But there is still a huge supply deficit of about 3 million metric tons. Only about 57% of the 6.7 million metric tons consumed annually is produced locally. The mortar mill is being designed to cut that deficit significantly and keep the resources spent on importation at home.
We are talking of well over 1.5 million people to benefit directly and indirectly from this mill. The impact of that is going to be long-term. So the GDP for Lagos is going to be phenomenal.
The effort at bringing the mill on stream at this time is also part of the response of the Lagos state government to the worst global food crisis being stirred by the outbreak of COVID-19 that has ravaged the world for over a year.
Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu is trying to ensure that with regards to food security, Lagos takes the numbers up. Currently we are at about 20%, but we foresee that by 2023 we should be able to take the food security status of Lagos at least up to 50%.
The vision behind the project requires corresponding physical and adequate infrastructure. The mechanical and electrical installations being coupled on this site are carried out with the best of materials and equipment available across the globe, we are told.
The most important thing to consider is that this mill is being assembled in the right way, in the right manner, such that there's sustainability. We don't have to come back to keep doing maintenance over and over and over again. So as opposed to running for speed, what we should be gunning for is ensuring that in terms of the coupling of equipment, in terms of the proper methods being used. That is actually what is very critical for us here, which is why you have even members of BUGA here on ground.
At the peak of installations, between 260 and 270 professionals and others worked daily on the site's mechanical installation, while about 450 others carried out the civil work, and even now that construction is being completed, about 120 to 150 people are still being engaged daily, all local manpower.
With the equipment that you have here, which is state of the art and second to none, they call it the Rolls Royce of equipment in terms of rice processing. I don't think you would have a rival in terms of rice, provided that the management and the production levels as kept to standard and how things should run basically.
And when operations fully take off, between 700 and 1,000 personnel will be required to get the mill running at a time.
We have a weight bridge system, so the paddy will be weighed to know how many tons of paddy you are bringing in. So from there it goes into the intake. So then from the intake it goes to the pre-cleaning building. Okay. So from the pre-cleaning, that's where we remove some of the impurities that comes with the paddy from the farm. Then from the pre-cleaning it goes to the harvest dryer. From the silo it goes through the conveyor system under the silo. Then from there to the parboil gear cook area. So then from there we dry it before it goes into the rice mill itself.
Putting up a structure like this no doubt comes with its own challenges, especially with the global economic uncertainties worsened by the COVID-19 pandemic.
We've had the issue of COVID, we've had the issue of NSARS, issue of exchange rates in terms of financing and all. But outside of that, I guess most of those challenges are being met.
The mill will require well over 250,000 metric tons of paddy on an annual basis. What that means is more collaboration, because only a handful of rice farmers in Lagos have been prepared for engagement to supply the mill.
Here are the silos, the storage hub of this entire facility. Each of them is installed with nothing less than 2,500 tons capacity of paddy. The 16 of them here, we have a combined 40,000 tons capacity. In case of excess supply of paddy, here a dry storage is being put up here, all in the bid to ensure that the facility never runs out of its primary product.
I mean, if we want to kickstart this project, rice should actually come out from Lagos soil. So last year, we actually did training, sensitization and empowerment for farmers in Lagos, rice farmers in Lagos. We had targeted well over 2,000, but for COVID-19 protocols and then looking at the guidelines around it, we had to reduce that number. So we had done the training, sensitization and empowerment for 800 of our rice farmers. We are going to continue with that this year.
But the state is looking beyond its confines to its immediate neighboring states and even beyond, especially Kebbi, with which it already enjoys a collaboration in rice production.
Kebbi is not the only state that would definitely give us the paddy. We are looking to states such as Niger. We are trying to collaborate with even Kwara. We are looking at Kaduna, and we are looking at a host of other states. The truth of the matter is we are not even limited by this states I have mentioned. We are also looking at the southwest region.
But some experts are suggesting that rather than looking at Kebbi, which is 575 kilometers away from Lagos to supply the inputs, Lagos may need to bring its southwest neighbors as part of owners and collaborators to reduce supply costs and ultimately discourage its neighbors from possibly setting up their own mills. We asked how the massive project with an estimated cost of 20 billion naira is being financed.
It's been funded through the CBN's Commercial Agri Credit Scheme, the CACS scheme. And what that means is that for the CBN, obviously this is a loan with a 9% interest, but because of the COVID issues of last year, that was actually dropped down to 5% to ensure that in terms of sustainability and for it not to become too much of a burden on the back of states and other entities that may have borrowed monies through the CACS, they had actually reduced it to 5%. In terms of the expenditure of this project, the CBN has to give approval. And then the bank, the PFI, that actually through which the fund is routed, has to also give approvals at any point in time for monies to be expended towards this project.
With the mill, the plan is to open up Imota and the entire axis as an agro-processing zone with minimal environmental impact. The area was originally mapped out as a mini industrial zone, but that idea is changing slightly to give way to agro-processing, with the scale of the rice mill expected to attract other servicing sectors.
So imagine having this Imota rice mill here, imagine having the fish farm estate at pt2. We'll be having the Lagos Aquaculture Center for Excellence also at Ekpe, and then a host of other projects. We have the Araga facility, our agri-training institute. So the entire corridor from Imota all the way down to Ekpe, then to Badagry, which are the 3 critical zones for agricultural production in Lagos.
And what about powering the mill? Officials explain, as they also assure, that the project's sustainability plan is solid.
Considering that we'll be putting in well over 250,000 tons of paddy into this mill to churn out almost 120,000 metric tons of finished rice, a lot of husk would be produced. So it only makes sense to try and go for a husk-based turbine.
It's like there is no home where the product is not consumed, and it's like there's no other staple food that is as popular as rice in Nigeria. And you know, considering the amount of rice that will be coming out of this place yearly, 2.5 million bags, I mean, you will see that there is no how the impact will not be huge. There is no how, when the impact is huge, that the sustainability that you may be afraid of will not be guaranteed.
Imota is waiting, and so is the entire Ikorodu corridor, as well as the stage for the unveiling of what will be Africa's largest mill that promises nothing but top quality rice as obtained anywhere else in the world, as Nigeria seeks self-sufficiency in the production of its 3rd most popular food item. Tokumbo Oyetunji, Arise News, Lagos.